All right, we're back. It's weather for Weather Geeks time here on September the 15th, Monday evening. I'm back after some time away. I was at the National Weather Association conference early last week. That was down in Huntsville, Alabama, which can be a very hot place during the summer, even into September, of course. But even down there, it was very comfortable. It was not humid really at all. This is a very benign, comfortable weather pattern that has been impacting eastern Ohio and western Pennsylvania, also extending pretty far to the south in recent times. Since it's been a little while since we've done a Weather Geeks video, let's take stock of where we've been through the first half of September. Of course, the month began on a cool note. Look at all those below average high temperatures earlier on this month. But we've been warmer than the average consistently since the middle of last week, culminating with a high of 84 officially today at the Youngstown-Warren Regional Airport. Now, when you factor in both highs and lows through the first half of September, we are running 4.5 degrees below the average, but that's going to change. That number is going to change quite a bit because this warm stretch is going to continue well into next week, maybe even through the end of the month. It's going to be hard to find a cooler than average day around here, I think, through the end of September. The bigger story has actually been the lack of rainfall, of course, and we've been talking about this for weeks on end, but it's really becoming, a situation that is becoming a little more serious across eastern Ohio and western Pennsylvania. Officially at the airport, no rain since Saturday the 6th, and for the month, a paltry 0.21. That's over 1 3/4 inches below the average in our driest first half of September since 2009. Now, last week, we get these updates from the U.S. Drought Monitor on Thursdays, and with last week's update, they did put a lot of Columbiana County in the severe drought category, but, we don't want to split hairs too much on a map like this. While it is probably most dry in Columbiana County in our TV viewing area, it is dry everywhere. Abnormally dry, moderate drought conditions, severe drought conditions. No matter what category your location is under on this map, everyone can use some rain. It's been unusually dry for weeks on end now, taking us back to the middle of the summer season. Now, for September specifically, we've seen between 5 and 25% of our typical rainfall in most of, kind of far eastern Ohio, western Pennsylvania, right along the state line. The dryness particularly bad in September out towards places like Akron, Mansfield, Worcester. But again, that's splitting hairs a little bit. Now, when we go back 90 days and look at where these numbers stand through the last 3 months, because remember, we had a lot of rain back in the spring and even into the first half of June. But later in June, and then especially into July, August, and now September, it has been on the dry side for sure. And so going back 90 days, we've seen between 50 and 75% of our typical rainfall across the region, and hence the drought categories have definitely increased in severity of late. We get into kind of a feedback loop sometimes in situations like this, a long stretch of dry weather. These feedback loops can be particularly hard to break in the early spring and late summer into early fall. Those two times of the year, what do they have in common? The dew points are not as high as during the middle of summer. It's more likely you get long stretches of dry weather at those times of the year. Now, in early spring, we also don't have any foliage on the trees. And so if you get a long dry stretch in early spring without any of the solar energy being intercepted by foliage and it just heating the ground, which in turn heats the air, you can get heat waves early in spring that even kind of are a little bit surprising or outdo what the models are kind of advertising. It's kind of a similar situation at this time of the year. Now, we have foliage on the trees, but with the ground so dry, there's not much evaporation that can occur. We don't have very high dew points. It's certainly not as lush out there. My grass is as dead as it is in February right now. And so a feedback loop can kind of develop. The drier it gets, the warmer it can get. The warmer it gets, the drier it stays. And these feedback loops can be kind of hard to break, and we don't see any large-scale changes coming in the near term. We'll talk about the medium range coming up later in the video, but what you see is what you get on this Monday evening, not only locally, but in most of the country. We had kind of a surprise tornado outbreak. Did you kind of see this yesterday on Sunday in parts of the Dakotas? This was not very well forecast, but those places are not seeing too much in the way of active weather this evening. A couple of severe thunderstorm warnings down towards the Ozarks, and there's an area of low pressure off the coast of North Carolina and Virginia. But that's about it. Coast to coast, things are pretty benign as you head out the door Tuesday morning. Temperatures upper 50s to around 60, but wow. Temperatures tomorrow will be very similar to today. not record territory, but, our averages are declining quickly now that we're into mid-September. We are into the time of the year that we're losing daylight at a very rapid rate, over 2 minutes and 40 seconds per day. And our average highs and lows are falling much more rapidly now than they were back, a month or 6 weeks ago. And so a high of 83 or 84 in the middle of September, that's about 9 or 10 degrees above the average. That low pressure system brings more inclement weather to places like Norfolk and Virginia Beach and the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and some clouds spreading up towards Philadelphia, the Jersey Shore as well. But this far to the west, we won't be impacted by that low pressure system, and sunshine and fair weather clouds will be in the sky once again on Tuesday. Repeat performance on Wednesday, and it's just a broken record, rinse and repeat kind of a forecast right through Thursday, in fact, right through Friday and Saturday. Any signs of change? Now, when we look at the atmospheric moisture here as we head into the weekend especially, keep an eye on what happens as we head towards the weekend. Again, low pressure off the eastern seaboard stays out to our east. That's this kind of plume of moisture right here. But we're in the drier air around here through midweek, through the end of the work week, and into the start of the weekend. But the look to this map kind of changes a little bit as we head towards late in the weekend and early next week. Notice the drier air gets shunted well out to the east a little bit, and the atmosphere will start to moisten up. There'll be a couple of relatively weak weather disturbances coming through that might try to provide a couple of showers. Now, at this point, it doesn't look like much. Keep your expectations in check. But until we get to this point, Sunday into Monday of next week, it is very, very quiet, this forecast. I've been doing this for 24 years now. It's hard to remember too many stretches of benign weather like we are seeing right now, and we've seen for a while. We had some rain in August, of course, but we haven't had a bona fide severe weather episode in several weeks. This time of the year, it can be really nice out. This forecast is a really nice one. It's just we have to take the good with the bad a little bit at this time of the year when we have stretches like this. It can be really pleasant with low dew points, but we could certainly use the rain. The models are starting to tick upwards a little bit by Sunday and Monday of next week, showing perhaps a couple of showers around. And actually, today's 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook from the Climate Prediction Center shows decent odds of above average precipitation next week. This is the 6 to 10 day outlook, so basically from the 21st through the 25th. To my eye, it doesn't look like a real wet pattern, but at least that pattern will try to offer a few more rain chances than the basically zero rain chances we have over the next several days. But here on Weather for Weather Geeks, we'll always find interesting things to talk about, so hope to see you again on Tuesday. In the meantime, thanks for watching on this Monday evening, and have a great rest of your night.